Welcome back to This Week Health Daily, where we invest in your career. Ed Marks has been a great friend to the podcast and a really good friend to me, and I've really appreciated the back and forth that we've been able to have. Early on, when I moved into healthcare, he was one of the names I was given of people that I needed to track down and have a conversation with, and I caught up with him at a conference, and we had a great dialogue around where inspiration comes from and where ideas and thoughts come from. And it was really good, and he shares some of that in this clip. So I want to share this clip real quick, and then come back and talk about it. Can you give us an idea of what you did, why you did it, and what benefit was derived by your team in the health system by interacting with organizations outside of healthcare?
Yeah, of course. So I think I first learned this technique when I started to be on a couple of boards for organizations. And instead of being a bunch of healthcare CIOs, there was a CIO from Kellogg's, there was a CIO from Colgate and Wrigley's. And I remember just learning a lot from them and different perspectives. I thought, wow, I want to hang out with that person. And not just myself, I want my team to hang out with that person. So then we started doing that. So once a year, I'd pick a different company and we would meet with those companies. I'll give you one example, Pure One. So Pure One was really good at data analytics. They had this amazing performance in revenue. And when I asked about how they went from a penny stock to a very successful company, it was all around analytics. And so we met with them and talked analytics. We were about to launch a big BI analytics endeavor at my organization then. And we learned so much from them. And one thing was they watermarked all their reports, whether they were online or hard copy. They were watermarked. So the CEO and everyone knew that you can trust that data that came with that watermark because it was part of their BI program, as opposed to someone else creating a spreadsheet, giving out data. You don't know if it's accurate or not, but this meant was accurate. So that's what we started to do. So you knew when you got this report that it had our watermark on it, you knew you could trust that source of information. So that helped with our credibility and the standardization and the, going from many different data sources to one. So that's one example. So we do it all the time, and we've got some planned here as well.
One of the things I really appreciate about Ed is that he is really open to getting new ideas from outside the industry. And one of the mistakes we make is we think that there aren't a lot of parallels, and clearly healthcare is distinct. Its problems, its challenges, its complexity, its culture, all those things sort of lend itself to being something that you could sort of categorize as different or other than most industries. But one of the things I learned this process from Ed, and after practicing it a couple times, one of the things I learned is that we have a lot to learn from other industries. And it's not necessarily that they're going to come in and talk to us about clinical workflow and clinical practices, but they can teach us a lot about AI and analytics. They can teach us a lot about consumer engagement, about personalization, about innovation, interoperability. There's a whole host of things that other industries have done that really help us to think different about what we are doing within healthcare. And the so what of this is really quite simple, which is there are other industries that are doing things that are advanced to us that we should be looking at. We should say, hey, we want to get better at fill in the blank. We want to get better at personalization. We want to get better at engagement. We want to get better at analytics or the use of AI and machine learning. Look at those other industries. Talk to those other industries. Talk to those leaders in those other industries. I think what you'll find is they're a lot more open to having conversations between your team and their team than you think they are. So the first is identify them and reach out to them. The second is get your teams engaged with those other players. I found that the dialogue that we had at those tables was invaluable. It was invaluable for my team to start thinking about problems a little different. It moved the ball forward because it sort of broke loose some of the old ideas and some of the old practices that they thought were sort of set in stone. And as they talked to these other industries, they thought, wow, all right, so they've been able to do that in that area. Maybe if we applied this in this way, it will really help us to move things forward. So the so what is, engage other industries, especially those other industries that are doing things that are advanced for healthcare. And then the other thing is get your teams involved. Get your team in front of a team from another industry, another practice, and facilitate the dialogue. Good leaders bring new ideas to their teams and help them to think about problems different.